It's Madison the 11, back after my 2-week break. Am I well rested? No, but either way, happy Pride Month! It is June, which some of you may or may not know is the time when we celebrate Pride. Pride Month is the promotion of the self-affirmation, equality, dignity and increased visibility of LGBTQIA+ people as a social group. The month of June was chosen to celebrate Pride because this is when the Stonewall Riots happened in New York City. But what actually were the Stonewall Riots and why is that so significant for Pride? The 1960s and the decades preceding that were not friendly times to members of the LGBTQIA+ community. It was illegal to be homosexual or to be anything to do with LGBT. So the only place where you could express yourself relatively openly and relatively safely were gay bars and clubs. Can I get a drink? Nope, these establishments were often shut down and penalised by the New York State Liquor Authority for serving LGBT customers under law, a law that was only overturned in 1966. So, now can I get a drink? Still no. Unfortunately, it was still illegal to be openly gay in public, and so penalisation and raids on gay bars and clubs continued. Then, and unfortunately still now, the rainbow community faced a lot of discrimination and homophobia. Most of these bars were owned and run by mafia bosses, as they were the only ones who could afford to bribe policemen to look the other way. Furthermore, they would collect information on the homosexual activities of higher profile clients to use as blackmail material. Despite this, most bars simply ran without a liquor license to avoid penalisation. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. One such bar was the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, New York City. It was owned and run by the Genovese crime family who bribed the 6th Police Precinct to ignore activities there. The bar would be considered unsafe at best today, considering its cleaning practices, or lack of, the mafia cutting costs wherever possible. But the fee for entry was cheap, it welcomed drag queens, it was a safe haven for homeless gay youths, and it was one of the few places back then that allowed dancing. On the morning of June 28th, the bar was raided by police. This had occurred before, a few days before in fact, though, unlike normal this time, the bar was not tipped off by bribed police. They found bootlegged alcohol and arrested 13 people, including employees and people who violated the state's gender-appropriate clothing statute. Other occasions, the crowds didn't disperse. They were angry and agitated. The police were not gentle. At one point, an officer hit a lesbian woman over the head as he tried to drag her into the police van, and she shouted to onlookers to act. The people had had enough. This was enough to incite the crowd into action. People started throwing pennies, bottles, cobblestones, and more at the police. Most of these people were homeless because of their sexuality and their identities, and many more had suffered greatly for it. Enough was enough. A full-blown riot involving hundreds began. The bar was repeatedly set on fire, and some prisoners, some police, and a Village Voice writer barricaded themselves in the bar. The protests that was sparked by this continued for 5 days after the riot squad dispersed the initial crowd outside the Stonewall Inn, and sometimes these protests involved thousands of people. This sparked a ripple effect that went across the world. This is not only a significant event for LGBTQIA+ people, but people of colour. Many of the people involved were drag queens who were Latino and black. Prominent figures such as Marsha P. Johnson, a black transgender woman, also attended. Black people who were part of the LGBTQIA+ movement and community were doubly discriminated against and still are to this day. So why was this moment so important? Well, long story short, it was a catalyst. Just as Rosa Parks sitting down on a bus was the seemingly unimportant moment that was the catalyst for the Black Rights Movement and is so important today, so is Stonewall. It's a point that unites us as a community and still allows us to protest, and it accelerated the gay rights and the LGBTQIA plus rights movement exponentially. Without it, who knows where we would be at today. But that doesn't mean our work is over. We're still fighting for Black Lives Matter and we're still fighting for LGBTQIA plus rights. But without that moment, we would certainly be more behind in that fight. And we would certainly not have the opportunities we have today. So it was one more step from the shadows and into the light. If you want to find out more about this, I'll be putting some links down below in the description, so make sure you check it out. If you like this, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell, and I'll hope to see you again next week. But for now, stay safe, have pride, and fight for what you believe, just like our heroes did way back in the 1960s at Stonewall. And I will also be linking some links to help the Black Lives Matter movement. As a person of colour myself, I'm mixed race, but from my dad's side I've got a black background, so it's really important to me that we don't allow this to continue. So I'll be linking some petitions down below. You don't have to donate or anything, you just have to sign, and take the time to educate yourself on today's modern issues for both the LGBTQIA plus community and the black community. I'll see you next week, everybody. Ciao for now.